Have you ever felt trapped in a web of manipulation, unable to break free from the cycle of toxic relationships? Are you ready to take a stand against manipulation and break free from the toxic love bombing? Do you long for the confidence to set assertive boundaries and declare your independence? Well, today is your day to shine. Today's the day to take a stand against manipulation and love bombing. With this beginner's handbook, let's explore how to break free from manipulative tactics, set assertive boundaries, and confidently state, I'm not falling for your manipulative tactics anymore. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Natalie Manning, the CEO and founder of She's Taking a Life Back and the host of A Woman's Worth talk show. As a certified mindset coach, I'm here to guide you through breaking free from self-limiting beliefs, overcome procrastination, and heal your trauma mindset, all to guide you into a path of healthy relationships and fulfilling those goals you've been carrying around for years. My own trauma healing marked by overcoming childhood sexual assault, substance use, domestic violence, and navigating through those toxic relationships is the driving force behind this transformative community. As a 30 as a professional counselor for 32 years, there's something that I noticed along the way. I noticed that there was a common struggle between my clients, which was all rooted in past trauma. The realization sparked my interest in understanding the profound impact of trauma and finding effective ways to support healing. It inspired me to delve deeper into trauma-informed approaches and developing She's Taking Her Life Back. It's time for us to reclaim our lives and thrive in a way that we've never had before. This journey has revealed a profound truth that even those who have escaped their past situations that created these trauma experiences often carry a lingering trauma mindset. And that is the thing that leads to self-limiting beliefs, procrastination, and self-sabotage. So if you're wondering why, when you think about your goals, or if you're wondering why, when you think about, will I able to find my Mr. Right? If you ever thought about it, there's a high chance it's because there's still beliefs in our trauma mindset that's causing these things, that's causing us to revert back to old behaviors, that's causing us to procrastinate when we start thinking about our goals. We all have them. We have that place in our hearts and our minds that we've been carrying around this vision for our life for years. Many of us for years and years and years, and feeling deep inside that we're not able to fulfill them. That's because of some lingering beliefs that's still stuck in our trauma mindset. So as a trauma mindset coach, I'm here to help you break free from that. I'm here to help change the narrative of that message so it matches where you are trying to go, whatever that means for you. So many struggle with those rewriting the narratives, because it's so ingrained in our subconscious mind. I often share that what we want to achieve is based on our conscious decision of where we want to go, but it is our subconscious mind that holds our beliefs from past experiences that needs to be healed and is causing us to be stuck and living a life beneath the one we envision for our life. If you're interested in hearing more about that, just stay with me. Stay with me. My experience of challenging my clients to look at their past experience, and I know a lot of times it was difficult, but having them realize and understand that that's where their issues are, whether they resolve their trauma through substance use, whether they've been resolving their trauma by jumping into unhealthy relationships and remaining there because their feeling is better than them than no one. It really caused me to really want to help them develop a brighter future. So I walked that path. I walked that same path that many of you have, from being a daddyless daughter, feeling like I was unworthy, and that is a lot of the things that caused me to wind up in toxic relationships and filled with a lot of love bombing. And sometimes I even knew, this love, this affection, this praise is coming from someone who else was hurt. But I was so broken that I accepted the compliments of someone who was broken and didn't have the capabilities of even loving himself. So if that sounds like some your experience, stay with me. I have a lot to share today. We've been really delving deep into this love bombing and toxic relationship topic for the last month, and this is week four of week. I'm sorry, week three of week four, right? So let's get started. I'm just so honored to be a part of helping women take their lives back. So I want you to just take a time, take a moment, and I want you to grab that pen. I want you to grab that cup of coffee, that cup of water, whatever that comforting drink is for you, and find yourself a cozy place so we can get started with learning how do we take our life back and how we're not going to put up with this manipulation anymore. All right. So welcome to a Woman's Worth Talk Show. And here is where we begin the journey of saying we're not taking it anymore. Because we're going to be focusing on strategies for breaking free from manipulation and setting assertive boundaries. That sounds good to you? Are you ready? Do you have that pen and paper ready? Do you have that warm and cozy drink or that cold glass of water? Come on, let's begin to delve into segment one. This is all about challenges, the challenges that we often face. I want people to understand, well, women in particular, because that's who I speak to. I want you to understand, like, there is a common thread. There is a meaning to these challenges that we're facing. And I want to share some of those challenges. And hopefully it resonates with you so you can say, yes, that's me. And also you can come to the conclusion that there is help. There is help. There's a way for us to break free from it. So let's talk about some of the challenges again. Let's address the challenges that individual face when they're talking about breaking free from manipulation. One of the challenges is recognizing the signs of manipulation. That is one of the most difficult things because if you come from a family where a lot of these behaviors were presented in your family as growing up, when you're in a relation with someone who is toxic and love bombs you, it is kind of hard to distinguish that it's actually unhealthy because it's our normal. That's what we grew up with. So that's one of the hurdles of actually beginning to break free from a toxic relationship, particularly love bombing in particular. I just got distracted because I want to make sure that, again, I put up these banners because I want you to be able to flow with me through this show. Again, like, let's talk about the theme of the month. This is all about breaking free and healing trauma bonding. That's our series for the month. And today's show is all about what manipulation no more, how to break free from manipulation. And this is a beginner's handbook for love bombing. So if you're new to this world of love bombing, or you didn't have any idea what that was, but you heard some of the terms, you heard the words love bombing, you heard the words gaslighting, you heard the words guilt tripping, but you really didn't know what it really meant or how it connected to your relationships. I'm going to help you with that today. We're going to talk about that, right? So I want to first talk about the manipulation, and this tactic called gaslighting. Ooh, gaslighting. Gaslighting is something that is so manipulative when it's used by someone who is toxic, someone who loves bomb you. So let's talk about what that is. Gaslighting and guilt tripping are two common tactics that manipulators employ to exert control over your self-confidence. Let me repeat that. It is a tactic that self-bombers use to manipulate you to take control of your emotion. Gaslighting in particular involves manipulating someone into questioning their own reality, questioning their memory, questioning their own sense of sanity. But on the other hand, guilt tripping, guilt tripping is all about making someone feel guilty and ashamed and cause them to feel that way so someone can manipulate them into complying with that manipulator's desires and commands. By learning to recognize these subtle tactics, you can empower yourself to set boundaries and protect yourself from the manipulation. I want to begin to talk about overcoming self doubt and worthlessness. But I want to go back, and I want to go back to gaslighting. I want to give you an example so you can clearly understand what that looks like. So, have you ever been in a relationship, right? And you sharing with your partner that, what you're saying to me, I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. And they turn around and say, what are you talking about? Like, why are you making such a big deal out of something? Why have you heard that? Why are you making a big deal? What are you even talking about? Like, here you go. Now you want to start an argument. See, all those little sayings, those are tactics that love bombers use, that manipulators use to get you to question your own insanity. Then you start thinking, like, am I making too much of a big deal about it? Because he's always telling me I am. He's always asking me, like, what are you talking about? It has me thinking, like, what am I thinking about? Is there something wrong with me? And there's other ways that um partners gaslight and manipulate people in toxic relationships, but those are common ones. Have you ever heard that before? And if you have, whether you're on the live or whether you are watching the replay, put it in our comment section. Let me know that this is resonate with you. Let me know if you have that aha moment that you kind of putting one and two together and saying, you know what, that happened to me too. Me too. I've heard that word before. I began questioning my own thoughts. I began hearing, like, I'm doing too much. I'm being so dramatic. It's that woman thing. Are you on your cycle? All these little sayings that we've heard before are used to have you again questioning yourself. And then the guilt tripping. Guilt tripping may play out like this. You know what? So when your partner says to you, I'm so tired of you trying to bring up all these problems. I'm trying to really have this relationship with you, but every time we try to get to a good place, you are always bringing up these negative conversations. Even though in their minds it's negative conversation, we know what we're trying to do is express our feelings. We're trying to say to them that what you're saying is not acceptable. But those manipulators have a way of making you feel guilty for actually taking a stand for yourself, and because they twist their conversation. They twist it to make you feel bad, make you feel you're the one that's causing all the problems. You're the one, here we go, bringing up all these negative conversation, when reality, you should be. These are things you should be saying. But when it happens with someone who's a manipulator, who love bombs, who gaslights you, who cause you to feel guilty, they have a way of making you really feel like maybe what you're saying is not valid. Maybe you should keep quiet about this. Maybe you shouldn't say anything. And you walk away feeling so confused. I want to help you with that today. You know, the other challenge that happens and makes it difficult for someone to walk away from someone who is toxic, someone who is gaslighting you, someone who is tripping you, is that, you know what? We struggle with our sense of self worth. We struggle with that. We start thinking about all our relationships, and I can identify with this because in my past relationships, I kind of knew that, something was wrong with that person. But because of my own self-worth that I didn't heal, I felt that, you know what, I should remain in this relationship. Maybe I can't get better. Even though I kept looking at this idea of the man that I wanted, that was a great communicator, that would listen to me, would spend the time, really wanted to work through our problems. That was the part of the characteristics of this ideal man that I had. But when I looked at the relationship that I was in, when I looked at my past relationships, it had me feeling like, God, maybe something is wrong with me. Because I keep attracting, allowing these men to stay in my life. Maybe. You know, one of the things I had experienced, even though I've been in I've been in toxic relationships, but because along the way that I began to heal, I kind of fell for it less and less. So there were times where even like there was a partner who tried to not belittle my accomplishment, but we have those who actually are toxic do that. They try to belittle you. But for me, it was kind of difficult because I had a lot of accomplishments in my career. But there was other areas that I allowed that thought process to seep in to say, well, maybe I'm not good enough to do that. It played into my own self-doubt, the belittling. I shared last week on part two that I was in a relationship with a man, but he didn't belittle me because he knew enough that I was good at what I do. I was good at my job. I was getting the promotions. You know what I mean? But when it came time for me to talk about my accomplishments, talk about all the good things was happening, he wasn't paying the least bit attention. He had no desire to even hear about that. He didn't want to entertain the thought that anything that was happening good in my life. I can't even remember because he had one daughter and I have at the time my daughters are grown, right? So no, one of my daughters was still a teenager at the time. My other daughter was grown. I had grandchildren. So he always would say things like, I don't have time for this. I got to put my focus on my daughter. Like my daughter is like just so important to me. I just can't deal with anything. She's the priority in my life right now. And I'm looking at him like you're not the only one that has daughters. Like I have two daughters and I have several grandchildren. So why are you presenting yourself as if like you have this big old thing going on that you don't have time? If you look at my life, I had a lot of big things going on compared to him. But in his mind, everything about his situation, everything about his life was priority. And I get it, like our children definitely are the priority, but he would use that as an excuse to not want to hear what was going on with me. That was one of his tactics. Like, I got too much going on. And all he wanted to talk about is him. Again, when it came to me, he didn't belittle me, but what he did was he just like, I don't have time for that. Which really is a sense of belittling me because what you're doing is telling me that what I got going on is not important. So these are some of the tactics that love bombers do. On the downside, after the love bombing phase has gone and is moving into the criticizing phase, right? Because when we talk about that love bombing part, we talk about, that's when all the accolades come. That's when I love you come. That's when you're the most important person in my life, and I've never met a woman like you ever before. That sound familiar? You're the first one that really understands me. After all of that phase of love bombing happens, 'cause that's what love bombing is, all of a sudden, this criticism comes. The undermining your self-esteem comes. The making you feel inadequate, making you feel unworthy. Whatever you got going on is not important, and try to make you feel guilty for actually bringing up things like something happened great in your life. Making comments like, you're bringing all this stuff to me, but I got this going on. These are some of the tactics that a love bomber would say until you say, you know what, you're so insensitive. You're thinking about that. I got this going on. You're really insensitive. How do you gonna come at me with all this, what you got going on? I got all this going on. How you think that makes me feel if you sit there and tell me about all your accomplishments? Making you feel guilty. And if you look at life, a lot of times when you're dealing with someone like that, like when is ever a time for me to talk about my accomplishments? When was there ever a time for you to talk about your accomplishments? They strategically make sure they are the most important person, and whatever you got going on, it doesn't matter what time of the day, it doesn't matter what day of the week, whatever you got going on is not important. And how dare you bring that up to them? Yeah, we're blowing love bombing out of the water today. We're talking about the signs, those red flags that say this person is a love bomber, this person is toxic, this person is manipulating me. Right? So even if you have those moments of like questioning your own sanity, I'm here to clear that up for you. I'm here to make it plain and say, yes, that was love bombing. Yes, that was manipulation. Yes, that was gaslighting. Yes, that was guilt tripping. No matter what they say, yes, it was. I'm here to give you clarity about that, right? We're gonna break through the manipulation no more. And I'm going to talk later on about this workbook that I created that's going to help you with all of this. And it's actually titled Manipulation No More. We're not doing that anymore. So through self-reflection, through your self-compassion, through your own positive affirmations, you can begin to cultivate a stronger sense of self-confidence, a stronger sense of self-worth, which helps free you from the grip of manipulation and create your own independence from them. Right. And even it's for those who are still in that relationship, because I'm not even having a discussion about leaving. That's never my perspective. My perspective is always just to build you up and you make that decision. But I can tell you that somebody who has had those experiences over and over again, I can tell you, once you begin building yourself up, once you begin having self-compassion, once you begin cultivating sense of self-worth, however you do, whether it's purchasing a workbook, whether it's hiring a trauma mindset coach, whether it's joining a group of supportive women, like-minded women, like the She's Taking Life Back Learning Lounge. I know that's a plug for us, but these are ways that we can begin to increase our self confidence. And like I began to say, like when I began to do some of that stuff years ago, all of a sudden there was no struggle with should I stay or leave. There was no longer struggle with that. What happened then is like, you know what? Let's plan to leave now. It's time to leave. Not whether I should leave or not, because I began to feel good about myself. And if you do the same, begin to include all of these positive things in your life and include positive people in your life, I promise you, slowly but surely, you're going to automatically say, I don't want this anymore. It will not be a struggle. Not that it's going to happen overnight. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it happens quicker. But it depends on all the effort that you put into rebuilding your own self-esteem. Whenever that is, now or later, I promise you, you will get to that day to say, I'm out. I'm out. I deserve better than this. This is toxic. This is never going to get any better. As long as I'm in this relationship, he is going to continue, he or she is going to continue with these tactics. And I'm never going to feel valued in the relationship. Right? Another challenge that women have, again, men experience this, but again, my audience is women, but another challenge that women have in leaving these relationships is setting assertive boundaries and reclaiming your own power. Setting boundaries can be difficult, especially when you've been conditioned to prioritize the needs of others other than your own. It's difficult. Learning to assertively communicate your boundaries is an essential part of reclaiming your power, but it takes time, it takes practice, it takes support from someone helping you, but it is the way to begin to set those boundaries. Setting boundaries is a fundamental aspect of reclaiming your power. It is a fundamental part of developing your independence in relationships. Many individuals struggle with boundary setting, again, especially if you've been conditioned to be told what you have going on is not important. And if you've gone through a lifetime to that, even in some people's childhood and their families, they were made to feel like whatever you have going on is not important. And whatever that person has going on is important. Does that sound familiar to anybody's childhood, your upbringing? So you've been conditioned to say, I'm not important, and my partner is. So those are a lot of the challenges, and there are more, but those are some of the main challenges that cause people to remain in these relationships. Makes it hard for them to separate themselves and say, again, no more. So now let's explore some powerful solutions and some tools to help you overcome these challenges and break free from manipulation. All right. So we are going to talk about solution number one. I love it when I get to the point I start educating people. I start getting to the point where, like, you know what? Whatever situation that you have, you can break free. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how. So our first solution is learning to trust your instincts and intuitions. Now the reason why I say that, and the reason why you've probably been hearing that for years and years, because we all have that instinct inside of us that tells us, like, you know what, something is not right. But what happens if you're someone that experienced trauma in your past, and you're somebody who has still these wrong beliefs in your head about your level of importance? When you have that, it is so difficult to trust your instinct. But I'm here to tell you, you do have those instincts. We just have to train our mindset, and we have to become conscious of tuning in to those instincts that tells us, something's not right with this. Something's not right. Your instincts are your greatest ally. It is your greatest ally in recognizing the manipulation and protecting yourself from harm. I want you to learn and begin to pay attention to any feelings that come up that feels uncomfortable, that again tells you that something is not quite right about this. I want you to begin to do that. Again, as we're building our self-worth, as we changing the narrative in our trauma mindset, we're going to have that thought that pops up that tries to say, what you're feeling right now is not real. What you're feeling right now is not significant. You're going to be second guessing your instinct in the beginning. But again, the more you implement these ideas, and the more you do, more you practice, believe me, you're going to be tuning into your um, instinct, and you're going to get to the point where one day you're going to say, this I'm not sure if this is the correct instinct. I don't know if that's the instinct trauma mindset Coach Natalie was talking about, but I'm going to take a risk and trust it. I'm going to go with my gut. You're going to begin to test it out. That's what happens in the beginning. Even though you have those thoughts in your head that tries to tell you what you're feeling and thinking and that instinct is wrong, you're going to say, I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to test this out. All right. Um, your instincts. And I have these thoughts in my head, so much that I want to share with you, but I want to keep focused on the things I want to talk about, because there's so much ideas and so much tools and so much solutions that I've learned over the 32 years as a counselor and the years I've been a certified trauma mindset coach. So many tools that I want to share with you, but we're here in a limited amount of time, so I'm going to stick to what I have to share with you, the few. And again, if you want to learn more, what you can do is, inbox me, put it in the comment section. Come into the She's Taking a Life Back Learning Lounge, message me and says, Natalie, I want to learn how to do more of what you're talking about. But in the meantime, what you can do is purchase the workbook. It is going to be a great first step. It is the handbook for beginners. So take advantage of it. Look in the link, and there's a link you can click, and it takes you into purchasing this workbook. I'm telling you, I created this workbook. I reviewed it over and over again, and it is a great step when you're beginning to learn how to take yourself away, tear yourself apart from the manipulator. And when I'm saying tear yourself apart and move away, I'm talking about beginning with your mindset, because it starts there. Because again, once you get it up here, whether you stay or leave is not even a question anymore. It's no longer a struggle. All right, so stay with me. Again, I want you to understand your instinct is your compass. We have this GPS in these days. It is like your internal GPS. It guides you to what feels right, and it warns you of what feels wrong. It tells you there is potential danger. This is not right. You know, again, by learning to trust your instinct, you can develop a heightened sense of awareness and discernment, enabling you to recognize manipulative tactics and protect yourself from harm. Just need to continue to repeat that, because I want you to believe that. And even if you don't believe that, I want you to take the risk. You don't have to embrace it, but trust what I'm saying. And I know you can't openly trust my sayings, particularly if you met me for the first time, but just explore the possibility of that your own instinct can be cultivated into a point where you know what your sense of awareness for manipulation, your sense of awareness for gaslighting, your sense of awareness for guilt tripping will be so heightened that you can see it coming. You will see it coming. Then let's talk about your intuition. Intuition, on the other hand, is your subconscious mind's way of processing information and making decisions without conscious reasoning. So let me rephrase that. You know, by tuning into your subconscious, and your subconscious mind is the part of you that's like way in the back. A lot of times it goes unaware, but it's there, processing information in the back of your head, right? Even though you have this thought or this feeling like back in your head, is your subconscious mind. So by doing all of this, practicing, by starting this work of building your own self-worth, building up your self-esteem, your intuition is going to learn to process this information in a new way. And that's called giving yourself a new narrative, a new story about the situation. You're going to begin to build that up. It is such a valuable tool. Some people call it, your gut feeling. It's going to be your gut feeling that's going to guide you towards making empowered choices. It is your gut feeling that's going to navigate you through challenging situations. So, learning to trust yourself, learning to trust your instincts, learning to trust your intuition empowers you to rely on your inner wisdom. The inner wisdom, that strength, and your self-confidence, all of that you're learning now for the first time through getting the handbook. By follow me on this talk show week to week, by joining us in the She's Taking a Life Back Learning Lounge, doing all of these things and more, or taking advantage of hiring me as a coach. Doing all of these things will strengthen your self-confidence and support you in breaking free from manipulations by aligning yourself with your authentic self. Because that picture that the love bomber, the manipulator, that toxic partner wants you to paint is not the true you. By healing your trauma mindset, you begin to get on this journey of meeting your authentic self, the real you, the real person who have their own values, they set their own boundaries, living from a passionate place. That real you begins to come alive and begin to take charge of your life, begins to make those decisions, begin to say, you know what, that's who I used to be, this is who I'm becoming. That's who I want in a relationship. Those are the kinds of toxic people I had. But you know what? I'm interested in looking for someone who's more healthier. You begin to emerge in a beautiful way that allow you to live this life you have always wanted to live based on your authentic self. All right. So the next two is practicing assertive communication and boundary setting. Remember, I used the word practicing. This may not happen overnight. Chances are it will not happen overnight because we've been operating through a trauma mindset for years. So this is going to take some time, but you don't have to wait long to begin to see the results. I always tell people that, my clients, that when I was counseling, and my clients, even in the world of trauma recovery, I'll tell you, as you begin, you're going to start seeing little changes in your life. You're going to start seeing like you beginning to question, some of the things that you were falling prey to from this toxic bomber. You're going to start questioning it. Even if you've not yet got to the point of you expressing or setting boundaries vocally with that person, you're going to start setting boundaries in your head. You're going to start questioning yourself in your head. You're going to start supporting yourself in your head, in your mind. And eventually what's in is going to come out. So I want you to practice expressing your needs and desires confidently and assertively without fear of repercussion. Now, when I say that, the practicing I'm talking about is not with your toxic partner. I'm talking about having someone that you have in your life that's supportive, whether you, again, you want to join in the learning lounge to meet other women, or anybody that you have in your life that has been in the same situation and has overcome it. Those are the ideal women to practice this with. You know, you practice saying like, I'm pausing. I have so much conversation in my head because I have a wealth of information and I'm such a visionary, and all that is fueled by my passion to help women. But I want to say this. Um, I would give my clients assignments, like, when I was in my career of counseling, and I would give them an assignment like, I want you to develop 3 statements that's empowering. I want you to come up with 3 things that you can start saying about yourself. So throughout the day, and I used to tell them, put it on index cards that I will provide for them, and write those statements down, fold it up, and keep it in your pocket. And I want you to every now and then pull it out and start reciting and practicing these statements. Then I would say to them, and I'm saying to you as well, get an index card and write down 3 boundary setting statements on this card. 3 of them. You write it down, you fold it up, you put it in your pocket. Now, if you want help in trying to develop these statements, again, grab the workbook. It's only for $9.99, and you get a wealth of information. Or one, if you really want to dig deep, stay tuned for my wait list for our 5-day challenge that's coming up. So you can dig deeper in learning how to make these statements, or you can hire me as a coach. Any of those ways. I was about to say tactics, but these aren't tactics. These are ways, these are solutions, these are tools. These are ways that you really can up the game of you practicing and helping you set boundaries. So when it's time to say it to that person, you now can say it confidently because you've been practicing it. You've been practicing exactly what to say, how's it going to make you feel. You're going to begin to do that. I'm so excited for you, and I'm remembering not only with my clients, I'm remembering it even in my own life. And sometimes I do it now. Like, I'll come up with these statements to remind myself of who I am, my authentic self. And even if I've never met that authentic person before, that authentic person was with you all these years, but that authentic person got pushed to the back by toxic people. That authentic person, that the authentic self inside of us made to believe that we're not important. So now today we're going to take a stand and start bringing that authentic person to the forefront. And that it's beginning by practicing those boundary setting statements, practicing assertive communication with healthy people. I also had shared with my clients, and I even learned years and years ago, we're talking about over 30 years ago, about how I navigated my own trauma healing journey. And I always was told, and then I would always share with other people, when you first learn a tool, particularly something like this, something that you have to share with someone who's toxic, especially something you need to share with someone who is gaslighting you, who belittles you, it is important not to learn these topics on day one and say, okay, I'm gonna go try it out on them right now. You don't want to do that. You want to build up momentum. You want to build up some self-esteem. You want to build that up. And the more you practice it, if you do it daily, the more you put your thought in, the more you recite it, the more you practice it, the quicker you're going to be able to build up your self-esteem. But I always tell my clients that don't make that decision yet to have this conversation with someone that's toxic before you connect with someone who can say, and who has the knowledge and the know-how and the professionalism to tell you, okay, now it's time to say that statement to them. The next time they say this, now you're ready. I think you're ready to do this. Do it with someone who's supportive. Because remember, when you're dealing with someone who gaslights, someone who love bombs you, someone who uses those manipulative tactics, it can easily in the beginning cause you again to question yourself, like, why am I saying this to them? I'm the one that's wrong. I'm the one that needs to change my thoughts. I'm the one that's making this relationship worse. Be careful. of that. That's why you need that support of someone telling you now it's time to say it. This is not the time to say it. Let's do some more practicing. That's the benefit of having a trauma mindset coach. Oh, my throat. Give me 1 second. I need to take some water. You drink some water. You know, as I was drinking my water, because I had these thoughts, my thoughts just go, 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 go. I have this picture of my past relationship in my head. As I'm talking to you about these tactics, I'm thinking about my past relationship that included these same tactics. And I can remember like when I was like at the end of the relationship before I left, how I didn't even stop to argue with this man. Like I didn't have a desire to like to want to even like let's have this communication together. I was way past that. I had done it already, and none of it worked out in my favor because again, he wasn't even hearing it. So it got to the point where I even stopped like having these kinds of conversations with him. I wasn't even talking about setting boundaries. I was no longer interested in that. And I'm picturing in my head as I'm saying I was no longer interested in my head. What I have in my head right now is a vision of that U-Haul truck because we live together. That U-Haul truck that I parked outside, that me and my daughter packed up all of our stuff, loaded the truck. Mind you, I had never driven a truck. I'm not telling you guys to do this. This is my story. I had never driven a truck a day in my life. And I'm saying all this to say, once I got to the point of building up my self-worth, I was out. And when I say I was out, I went and found and this was, I was living in another city in Georgia at the time, and I wanted to move back to Atlanta. I had already signed the lease on a house that me and my daughter eventually moved into. I already did that. I already got the truck. We were packing stuff. He was gone at work. We started packing everything. So by the time he came back, all he saw was this truck locked up and me ready to go. And I can tell you, at that moment, he did try one manipulative tactic that I did not discuss. The tears started coming. The tears started coming. All I could say is, I don't think I even said anything knowing me, and this is going back years. I think I probably just said, come on to my daughter, let's get in the truck and let's go. Let's go. There was no more discussion. The tears was, and this was a man that never, ever cried. Like in my mind in the truck, I was like, oh, well, we doing this now? It was too late. I had already built up my self-esteem. I had already talked to supportive women. I've already went through all of that. And in my life, it was time to leave. And I got in that truck, drove down the highway, drove, I want to say, about 200 miles in that U-Haul truck, me and my daughter and our things, and we were out. And again, I share this with you because I want to give you hope that it is possible for you. I want to give you that hope if you take these same steps because, and not only these same steps, some of the same steps, because everything doesn't work for everybody the same way. Again, that's one of the things about being a counselor all those years and even a trauma mindset coach. You know, we're able to kind of tailor a plan to that individual person. Again, so it might work for one woman, may not work for another, but there's a plan that could be made that's tailored to you, whatever that looks like for you, right? So I just want you to say that this was my plan. This was my outcome. This was my decision. This is I had enough. This was my out. So if you're interested in removing yourself, let me help you develop that plan. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. All right. So let's move on. I'm just so excited for you. I don't even know you, haven't seen you. I'm just excited for the possibility of you actually taking the steps to actually pull yourself away and separate yourself from your manipulative partner, from that toxic man, right? And also one of the things I want to share, not wanted to, that I am going to share When it gets to that point where that cycle of the love bombing happen, which is telling you, I love you, I'm willing to do whatever you want to say, I'll go to therapy with you, you're the best thing, I don't want to lose you, I apologize. When they come with the flowers, when they come for the tickets to the play, when they come with the date, all of that, all those things, when they start showing up with all of that, I want you to understand that is just manipulation. That is another tactic. That is another way to get you out of the mindset that you're in. Because at this point, your mindset is something is wrong. This doesn't feel right. What he's doing is wrong. It is so easy, and the toxic partner knows when they come with all those things and flowers and accolades and compliments. They know in the past it worked for you to switch your mindset off of you saying this is not right, to switch your mind and move yourself away from setting boundaries, to bringing you back to the place where he or she wants you to be, so they can manipulate your emotions through those tactics. And the hardest thing about those things is when you're going through love bombing and hearing all that. If you're someone who has not yet built up their self esteem high enough, you want to receive that. You start embracing that. You start taking the flowers from him. You start with the thank you. Your mind goes to all the good things he has done in the past during that love bombing phase. Your mind goes there. And that's what causes you to stay planted in that place. That caused you to say, I'm going to give him another chance. He seems sincere. And for some of us, even though we have heard and we saw these phases of love bombing and then becoming emotionally unavailable, even though we've been through those cycles of that, of the sorries, and I'll never do it again, and here's the flowers, and we've been through cycles of ups and downs, our minds will still say, I'm still going to receive it. Because when you're flooded with compliments and you're flooded with all those things, it can easily cause you to say, I love this. This is the man that I've been looking for. This is the part of the man that I want. That is why it's so important for you not to do it by yourself. That's why it's so important for you to have that support to say, I know it looks good, I know it feels good, but it is manipulation. It is a tactic. You need that support to remind you, to pull you out of that place of being manipulated. They're going to help you see the red flags when at that moment you're not even looking at the red flags. You're so busy looking at the flowers or the gifts or the accolades or the compliments. They can be that person to say, that's a red flag. That's that manipulation again. And remind you, remember last time he did that or she did that? Remember the time before that? Remember the time before that? You've gotten flowers before. You've gotten a gift before. You got compliments before. But then what always happens later? The gaslighting, the manipulation, the belittling. They're reminding you that this has happened before and this cycle is going to continue. They're going to hopefully help pull you out of this, right? Um, let's continue to talk. Wow, I just love this topic. I love educating women. I want women to take their life back. I want you to become your authentic self. I think you deserve it. I don't want anyone to beat themselves up because they've been in these situations. I want you to just have self-compassion. Understand that when someone does this love bombing, it's coming from someone who is extremely manipulative. They are, and I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna use the word. They're predators. They seek out women who they believe they can do this stuff with. They seek out women. And understand that if you've been sought out, and so have I in the past, it comes from a place that we weren't made to feel that we were lovable. Probably started in our childhood. We're coming from a place where we've never felt special. We were never adored. We were never told, I love you. We never were taught that told that from an authentic place of where it should have came from the people who raised us. And if you didn't get that, whether it was done overtly, which means that you were told that you're not worthy, that you were told you're not valuable, or even if it happened overtly, which was my case. Like my parents never told me that, but they were not emotionally available for me. They weren't there. And in my childlike mind, I started questioning, like, well, maybe I'm not valuable, because I also seen another dynamic in my family that, you know what, another sibling was getting attention. So I was like, wait a minute, if they're getting attention and I'm not getting attention in the same family, maybe something's wrong with me. That is the belief that I adopted based on the dynamics of growing up in my family. And it didn't help as I got older. I kept pulling people in situations in my life that looked like I wasn't valuable. So when anybody ever questioned like why I was with that man or why I wasn't doing things that I knew that I was capable of doing, it was based on how I felt about myself on the inside. And it didn't matter how capable people told me I was. It didn't matter, because my subconscious mind held the belief, and I had the evidence in my life, right, that I was not valuable. And I believed it. I heard it enough. I saw it enough in my relationships after as I grew up, which really kind of put a stamp on what I already believed growing up. And I said, you know what? It must be true. So we're talking about coming into these relationship with a mindset like that. So that's why I said, do not beat yourself up. Have compassion, because how could you not fall for the love bomber if they're giving you something that you didn't get, showing that you were loved, even if it's a false sense of love from the manipulator. It's a feeling you never experienced. And I'm quite honestly, it feels good if you didn't feel that way. So that's why I say don't beat yourself up. Have compassion for yourself. Because believe me, we're going to get out of this. We're going to work our way out. I'm going to show you how. Stick with me. The thing about boundary setting, because we're talking about tools, boundary setting involves defining and enforcing your personal boundaries to safeguard your emotional well-being and protect yourself from manipulation. Let me give an example of setting a personal boundary to safeguard your emotional well-being and protect yourself from manipulation. These are one of the things that I did. Like, I got to the point in my relationship years ago that I said, you know what, I already know how this is gonna work. In my mind, I'm like, I know how this gonna work. I know how it's gonna work. So if he comes to me and he figures I'm upset and he tries the love bombing or he tries the belittling, I already had it in my head that, you know what, I'm going to say, like, right now, I have to spend time with my daughter. Right now, like, I have to go and make a phone call. Those are the things you can use early on when you can't really define the boundaries and tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can begin with that, finding statements, things to say to excuse yourself out of the situation, to remove yourself from hearing any of those tactics, any of that gaslighting, any of those belittling, any of those guilt tripping. Come up with an excuse to remove yourself out of the situation. Got to make a phone call. Got to call auntie, got to call grandma, got to call whoever. Come up with something to get yourself away from that situation. So it may not be a defining statement to that person, but you are setting boundaries. You have decided and made a decision for yourself. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. I'm getting out of the room. I'm leaving the house. That is beginning to enforce boundaries. That is the beginning. And eventually, as you keep on, you're going to get to the point where you're going to be able to say to that person, I no longer want to have a conversation with you about X, Y, and Z. You don't have to start with, I don't want to have a conversation with you at all. Because if you're not ready to leave, you're going to come back and have conversations with that person. But you can say to them, like, right now, I'm not going to have this conversation. And they may still keep talking, still trying to guilt trip you, still trying to gaslight you. You keep walking. You keep leaving. And what you just popped in my head, what you can do is like call a girlfriend and say, look, I'm about to make this statement. Your girlfriend to me is a supportive one. I'm about to make this defining boundary statement to my partner. So can I come to your house right now? Because after I say this to him, I'm gonna walk out of the house, but I just need somewhere to go. So can I come to your house? Right? So at that moment, you say what you need to say. Say, I'm not listening to that right now. I'm leaving. Get out, jump in your car, jump in whatever you need to jump in, and go to your girlfriend's house. You're sending them the message that I'm not doing this. I'm not participating in this conversation. I'm not saying anything. I'm just grabbing my bag, coat, whatever you need to grab, and out. That is another step in enforcing personal boundaries. You're telling yourself you're not putting up with that anymore. You're telling your partner, I'm not hearing it. I'm out. There's no back and forth. There's no conversation about, no, I don't want to talk to you because if I talk to you, none of that, just out. That's setting a boundary. That is your way of protecting yourself from the manipulation. That is how you safeguard your emotional well being. You don't stay there and hear the gaslighting and the belittling. You don't even stay around to even hear it. That's protecting your emotional well being. Make sense? By setting clear boundaries and communicating assertively, you start establishing a healthy guideline for how you expect to be treated. You're going to start sending him the messages, and he's going to be like, oh, wow, in his mind, like, this is new. You're sending him a message that you are not going to be treated this way. You're empowering yourself to maintain control over your own life and over your own choices. Practicing assertive communication and boundary setting, it enhances your self-confidence. It strengthens your own confidence. It strengthens yourself. It begins to allow your authentic you to come out and make the decisions. It fosters a sense of empowerment, and it enforces a sense of independence from that relationship, and allows you to break free from manipulation, and reclaim your personal power. I tell you, this is all this is about: reclaiming your personal power because you have it. Assertive boundary setting involves clearly and confidently communicating your needs, your desires, and your limits to others without fear of rejection or conflict, because it's not even about them. You're not doing it for them to say, oh, I'm in agreement with your boundary setting. You're doing this for you. You're doing this for you. You're asserting your right to your own personal space. You're asserting your right to your own self-respect. You are doing this for you. You're asserting your right for your own autonomy, your own independence. This process empowers you to take control of your life, honor your own values, cultivate healthier and more fulfilling relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Oh, I like that last part, because what that says is when you start looking for another relationship, if it's your decision to leave this one, and that's solely your decision, I'm just here to prepare you with the tools and the skills and the education, right? But if you're at that place where you're going to take some time for yourself, hopefully between relationships, take the time for yourself. Because see, the thing is, if you're somebody who has this trauma mindset and you jump right into another relationship, what you're doing is find a way to mask yourself from you. You're saying that I can't spend the time with me alone because it doesn't feel good. And I get it, because you still have those thoughts in your mind about the past and who you are, and he might have done it to you because of this. That happens in your alone time. But I remind you, that's when the time you should be having a support system. If you don't develop a support system to help you during that time, so you can have that time of self-reflection between relationships. But when you're ready for another relationship, you have already began to cultivate your values. Some of your values now. You know what it is to respect someone. You know what it is for someone to respect you. You begin to understand that because you've learned to began to set boundaries. So when this new relationship comes in, you already have it intact. I can remember, I'm saying, as I said that, like years ago, when I was probably in my late teens, in my early 20s, I can be honest. I can admit I didn't even know what boundaries were. Like what are boundaries? Like no one told me that what boundaries were. Nobody explained that to me because my father wasn't around. I grew up a daddyless daughter. I mean, I knew my father, he just was inconsistent. He showed up when the wind blew. So I didn't have that role model of what it was like to have my values when it came to operating with a man. My mother, in my younger years, was struggling with her own depression until she went through therapy, until eventually she became a psychotherapist. But she didn't have it at the time, to pour into me. Like, you set boundaries in the relationships. What was that? I didn't even see boundaries setting in my own family growing up. So I did not know what that meant. So if you're that person, like, you're not alone. So even at the age you are now, whether you're 20, whether you're 30, whether you're 40, whether you're 50, I don't care how old you are, it is never too late to set boundaries. It is never too late. I don't know what you ladies like, this like me revealing my authentic self. I plan on being in relationships. I don't know. I plan on getting married one day, but in the meantime, I'm going to be dating, right? So even if I haven't found my husband at the age of 70, I'm going to be dating. Like, I need to know my boundaries. I need to get them together, because at 70 years old, I'm still going to be spouting them out. Please don't. I don't want to hear about I'm 70 and I need to take what I can get. Oh no. Oh no, it's too late for that. I started healing this trauma mindset years ago. It is too late for anybody to tell me I'm 70 and I don't have that many choices. I don't think so. So I have to keep cultivating these new boundaries, right? As I get older, it's never too late. It's never too late to have a healthy relationship. It is never too late. I've seen too many, and you probably yourself seen too many videos, seen too many couples get married at 75, right? I've seen too many, it's too many, too many, too many, too many, right? So it's never too late. So if you're out there and you're my age and I'm 61, you're around my age, set them boundaries. Set them boundaries. Set them boundaries. Set them boundaries. And finally, I want to talk to you, and I've been talking about it all along, really. I want to talk to you about the third tool. And this, again, is so, 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 so important. So, so, so important, which is to seek supportive friends. Seek the support of professionals, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a family member supportive, or even a trauma mindset coach. Seek support. You are going to need support to help you break free from manipulation. Your trusted friends and family members can provide emotional support. They will supply the validation, the perspective. They're going to offer you a safe place to express your feelings and concerns without judgment. Their unconditional love for you and their encouragement can actually begin to help fortify that resilience in you and empower you to navigate challenging situations with confidence. With confidence. Seeking a support from a trauma mindset coach can offer specialized guidance and strategies tailored to your individual needs. A trauma mindset coach can help you recognize and challenge negative thought patterns, develop healthy coping mechanisms, and rebuild your self-esteem and confidence. We can provide invaluable insights, tools, and resources to help you navigate the complexities of manipulation and reclaim your personal power. By seeking support from trusted individuals or even professionals, you can gain clarity, encouragement, all of those things like I talked about. It's particularly in the beginning, as you're beginning to do this, as you're moving along on this journey of trauma mindset healing, that's going to help you break free from that toxic relationship, that love bomber, that manipulative person. It's going to help you with that. So those tools and insight and resources is so important to your life. I encourage you, if you're someone who has can resonate with having this trauma mindset that I talk about, that holds your belief in your head, that tells you you're not worthy, it is going to be difficult for you to navigate that by yourself. Whether it's from me, use me as support. Whether it's, again, from family, from friends, use someone other than yourself. This is a journey that can be real challenging, but it's possible with help, and support. So make sure you have those fulfilling relationships. If you don't have them now, take advantage of support groups. Again, take advantage of coming to She's Taking a Life Back Learning Lounge. Take advantage of what's out there for you. So if you don't have it, you can cultivate it. Reach out, support, and I want to say this. I know that it's not easy, especially if you've been navigating your life alone. And because one thing about people have toxic partners, they like to isolate you. So if you're someone who having a support, I know this is not easy. When we talk about support system here at She's Taking a Life Back, and when I'm talking about the learning lives, I've been talking about it throughout this talk show. Um, you don't have to like come into the group and just share everything about yourself. You don't have to say anything. Again, there's many women in the group that don't even respond to the posts I have. They reach out to me in the inbox. Some may feel like they're not just ready. You still can participate in the group. You don't have to face manipulation alone. You can surround yourself with people who can support you. I'm excited for you. I want to hear from you, whether you're on this live or watching the replay, or if you decide to come into the learning lounge, the support group that we have. And the way you can get in is if you look on the banner of this YouTube video, there's a link there, and it says She's Taking a Life Back, the Learning Lounge. Just click that and request to join. You don't have to do this alone. You can be around supportive people. You can be around women who are at the same place as you. You can be around women who is maybe a little bit farther down the road from you, who can give you help. You can hear the truths that I'm sharing every day, that's going to help you change your mindset. It's going to give you the exercise. It's going to give you things to practice. So come on and click in and join the group if you feel that this is something that you need in your life. But getting a support system, it's so vitally important. Do not do this by yourself. And there you have it, brave souls. Those were the challenges, those were the solutions, and those are the possibilities for your freedom and empowerment. Remember, you have the power to break free from manipulation and create a healthy, fulfilling relationship in the future and have a wonderful, fulfilling life. But if you're interested in diving deeper and unlocking the secrets to breaking free from manipulation, then don't miss the opportunity to grab the handbook that I've been talking about, this workbook. I want you to get your copy of Breaking Chains, a handbook that is going to help you dive deep into the tactics that are used by manipulators and empower yourself with actionable strategies to reclaim your power and set healthy boundaries. Does that sound like something? Boy, we talked about a mouthful today. We talked about a mouthful. Well, I talked about it. I would love for someone to join in the conversation, or someone to join in the conversation. Again, even if it's not on the live, just go to the comment section, put down your responses, go to She's Taking a Life Back, put your responses there. I want to hear from you. I want to hear where you're at and if this resonates with you. I want to know that what I'm doing is really helping women out there who need the support, So I'm going to tell you one more time. I want to bring up the cover of this workbook. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so excited. So excited because I know it's possible to make this change. I know this possible because I've done it in my own life. I helped many, many clients over the 32 years that I've been counseling, and the couple of years that have been a trauma mindset coach. And even during my counseling career, I've studied and I took so many trainings about trauma informed care. Learning about the trauma mindset. I've learned so much about that. And I want to make sure that I give women the opportunity to do the same. I want you to apply this to your life. I want you to take your life back. And I'm looking for the cover so you know where it is. Give me 1 second. I grab this glass of water. Oh, just give me 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. And then I'm going to share with you about week 4, part 4 of our 4-part series, our last part. I want to share with you what we're going to talk about next week. Here we go. This is it. This is the workbook or handbook that I've created only for $9.99, ladies. You can't beat it for the amount of information that's there. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Again, all the workbooks that I create, I organize it, I outline it, I put the thought process I had as for my 32 years of counseling, for my years of training, regarding trauma healing, regarding trauma care, regarding my own life and the things I have done to utilize in my life to break free from those who are toxic in my relationship. So don't don't miss the opportunity. Don't miss it. Grab this workbook. So I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. I want to thank you, and I also want to remind you to join us for our last 4-part series. It's called Beginner's Guide to Moving Forward: Simple Strategies for Women Bouncing Back from Trauma Bonds. And we will begin to embark on a heartfelt exploration of simple strategy designed for women who are navigating the path of bouncing back from trauma bonds, from bouncing back. So if you're someone who's left a relationship, is about to leave a relationship, or even if you're still in it and you're preparing to leave, this will be good for you. This will be good for the aftermath of going through all of those tactics and gaslighting and all of that, and learning to bounce back from that, because that has a toll on your mindset, and I want to help you free yourself from that. So take advantage of the workbook, and which I like to call the handout. And next week we're going to talk about part 4. So I want to thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to next week's show. In the meantime, start looking at the videos that I have on the YouTube channel. My plan is to upload videos every week. Don't forget to click the link and join us in the She's Taking a Life Back Learning Lounge. And I will see you next week. Take your life back, because you are so worth it.